Grace here, welcome back to my channel. Sorry I skipped a week. I know I said I would be doing one next week, but I got busy, a lot happened. First of all, we took down the Christmas decorations. As you can see, there is no longer a tree in my background. Very sad. All the tinsel's gone away. It's been very sad, really. And I just haven't had the motivation to make these videos, but I have now got a roster of things to do. So welcome back to Lockdown Literature. Here is a book I can actually show you in my hand. Oh gosh, I've just realised it's a little bit battered. Probably because it's been sat on my shelf for a while. And there's this one weird page that's like, yeah, it's not in the best condition, but that's probably because my dad didn't leave it in the best condition when he gave it to me. So at the start of lockdown, I was running out of literature, you know, even though I have this entire bookshelf here. I've read all these books, and on the top shelf is just old folders and things from like rehearsals and reading scripts. No, I'm not going to get sad. I'm not going to get sad about it. Shows will come back eventually. But today I'm going to talk about a book that I don't hear too many people talk about. The first time I read anything to do with it, it's also a drama as well. Lucky me. Haven't seen the drama, I only read the book. But it was one of those prints where you can see the characters as they were put into the show. It was written by someone who was much more famous for another story. But this one's still really good, and I was mostly excited to read it because I've been to that part of the country. So my family likes to go to Cornwall for holidays, and one of the things we usually do is we started not too long ago, about 4 or 5 years ago, we started going to a specific place in Newquay. One, because the beaches are just gorgeous. Like there's one of them called like Golden Sands or something, and it is... the beaches are so beautiful. I wish we could have gone to Cornwall last year, but anyway, been to Cornwall, been to Bodmin Moor, been to all of the places and things. And speaking of Bodmin Moor, no, it's not a book about the Beast of Bodmin Moor. Although, when we were in Cornwall once, they were talking about Bodmin Moor, like the Beast of Bodmin Moor on Pirate FM, and it was pretty interesting. But no, I'm getting off topic now. The book is Jamaica Inn. If I can get it in the friggin' shot. Don't shine on it. This ring light is good for some things, but not other things. So yeah, this is the book. It's a little bit battered. And there's this one page that sticks out because it fell out somehow. Anyway, I'm gonna try and put that back. So it's the story of a girl who used to live in the quiet countryside. She goes to the windswept Cornish moors. I'm just reading that. I read that off the back. Goes to this place called the Jamaica Inn, and surprisingly it doesn't have a lot to do with Jamaica according to the book, really, but it ends up being a place where, if you've ever been to the Jamaica Inn, we've been to the Jamaica Inn, there wasn't anything going on, we just went there because it's a pub. You'll know that if you look at the history thing, because there is an upstairs bit that is a museum, a lot of smugglers congregated there on evenings and would meet up for smugglings or for doing deals when the ships would come in. And this girl, Mary Yellen, this one right here, she moves there after her mother passes away, and she goes to live with her aunt and uncle who run this place. And at first she wonders why she always has to go upstairs in the evenings and always has to be locked in her room. She's supposed to be like 18 or 19, I'm certain. It's really hard to tell with the cover of this book though, because yeah. But she eventually finds a way to sneak out and figure out what's going on, and she finds out that there is a smuggling ring right there in Cornwall on the moors and things. There's a lot of good descriptions of Cornwall, which I quite liked. There was some really good descriptions of Cornwall, and she starts being a bit pushed down because her uncle isn't a very nice man. He just wants her to serve drinks, don't make eye contact with anyone, and just stay out of the way, because it's that kind of time. I don't know exactly the time period it's supposed to be, but it's that kind of time where she just has to keep her head down. And her poor aunt is like this really, really downtrodden person. Like, the uncle is definitely abusive. Definitely abusive. Like, you don't need to read the book for me to tell you that. When you first meet the aunt, you're just like, oh gosh, I'm so sorry. And eventually she finds someone that she can talk to that she doesn't feel awkward with, and it ends up being her uncle's brother. So her, not entirely related, like, so it's out of law, outlaw. And his name is Joss. I don't know what it's, I can't remember what it was short for. I think it's Joseph. But yeah, she starts hanging out with this guy called Joss and finds out that it's one of those classic, he's got a tough exterior, but he's got a warm heart kind of thing. You know what I'm talking about if you know what I'm talking about. Because of the content of the story and because of the time when it was written, you can just tell it's one of those ones where it's like, oh, he's such a bad boy, but I can fix him. Like, I've read a lot of stories like that. And it comes up so much in literature that you can't avoid it. Like, if you're reading classics, if you're reading modern tales, there's always going to be a bad boy you can change. If you watch Heathers, the movie, or the musical, or like know about Heathers and things, there's a character like that as well, where they're like, oh, I can fix him. You don't need to fix those men. You can just go and find someone who's honest and kind and nice. But yeah. Anyway, so all of that happens. And I think the most ironic part is that her aunt, who has been downtrodden and basically just abused ever since she got married, her name is Patience. Yeah. No word of a lie. She is Aunt Patience. Anyone seeing any problems here? Okay, no, okay. So this is a BBC, this was turned into a BBC drama. I haven't seen it. I have seen some BBC dramas that are supposed to be a bit like that. Like, I think it's supposed to be kind of a little bit along the lines of Poldark, just because of where it's set, I suppose. Like, when we went to the Jamaica Inn, they were selling copies of this book, which is where my dad got it from originally. They were selling this book, and they were selling copies of the Poldark books and the box sets you can get in the DVDs and things of Poldark or whatever. But it's a little bit cliche, but it was still a good read, especially because it gets quite dark. I mean, you probably expect it because it's a story about smugglers, but it does get pretty dark, and you'll want to keep reading it. You won't want to put it down, definitely. It's not my usual read, but it was still a good read. One, because I could picture the locations they were going to, and two, it just kept you on the edge of your seat. It was pretty good. It was pretty good. I would definitely recommend it if you like stories that are a bit closer to home. For some reason, I find it easier when I can picture myself in stories and things. I've found that I quite like that kind of dynamic I have with reading, and this page is going to annoy me because it is not sitting in here the way it's supposed to. It's just screw it. There. I'm not going to touch it anymore because the book is bothering me. Anyway, it is quite if you want a soppy romance in Cornwall, this isn't the story for you. If you like stories with a little bit of grit, a little bit of drama, a bit of a thriller, something that might make you bite your nails on a cold night, that book. It's not as dark as it could be, but it's still pretty dark at times. Pretty dark at times, and there's a lot of deceit and hatred and all of the crimes you can think of and stuff, and going onto beaches early in the morning and things. It's yeah. It's very hard to explain it without giving things away, and I'm not going to do that because One, because I read it so long ago that there are so many different plots that I can't quite remember all of them. There is one I remember distinctly, mostly because when I read it, I just couldn't take my eyes off the page. And it was pretty dark. It was pretty dark for the story, but it made sense eventually because everything they do is for like money and whatever. But it was, yeah, if you don't want a book that can give you chills and things, don't read this, because it can give you chills. It's pretty hard, it's pretty easy to get hold of. Like, I'm sure it's probably free for Kindles and things, because classics and stuff are always free for those kinds of things. That's what I learned when I had my old Kindle that was featured in the other video we did. But it's a very good book, and it's by Daphne Du Maurier, famed author of Rebecca. I never read Rebecca, but I did go and see the play based on it as part of my GCSE drama. That was dark too. I think she just has a thing for writing dark stories. Maybe that's just her niche, like how Stephen King has a niche for writing either really deep and inspiring horror stories, or ones where you're like, how is that a villain? It looks like a meatball with teeth. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, so Jamaica Inn, definitely recommend it. It was a very good read. I read it way too quick, I think. Sometimes I did slow down on the bits where you had to sit and take in some of the details, but with the faster scenes and things, you just whip through it if you're anything like me with books, and I've read books in a whole day before. Like, just give me 4 hours and I'll just... I used to think it was an achievement when I finish a book in 7 days. Now I once read Mockingjay in a night. Like 2 or 3 hours tops. But yeah, Jamaica Inn, definitely recommend it if you're into the darker and grittier things. I did read another book that was pretty freaking dark, especially considering what time period it was set in, but I think I'm going to save that for later in the year when we get to the spooky season, because yeah, I'm like that. I like to leave you on the edge of your seat and things. But yeah, Jamaica Inn, big recommendation. Now, I don't want this video to go on and on and on and on and on, but don't worry, more content is coming. I have a special video coming up because of a certain memorial that's coming up, which might be a clue to what book I'm going to be reviewing, and it was a pretty good read. It was a little bit relatable, not in a big way. It was a little bit, I'm not going to give anything away, okay? But yeah, I'm going to leave it here. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment if you've read the Jamaica Inn and what your opinions were of it. And don't forget to subscribe for more content. I'm going to make it weekly, I promise. I promise I'm going to make it weekly. I'm really sorry. I'm so sorry I missed a week. Okay, I gotta go now. Alright then. Bye!